Hey, Scott from microjig.com. Here is in Naples, Florida, in a hotel room. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later, but no Q&A this week. I mean, I just did a video on that 10-position shopsmith lever. You'd think that people would have questions. The questions that came in were questions I can't answer. Most of them centered around, could you do some kind of a combination of the long handle purple merple, as somebody called it, lever and the shopsmith lever, and have the magnets in the 10 positions, but a long lever. Not a bad idea, especially when you're talking about mortising. Don't know. We'll have to check that out. I mean, maybe the threads are interchangeable, or we can do something. We'll play around with that in the future. Other than that, no big questions. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So we're gonna circle back. I promised you a while back when we took a look at some of those push blocks that are nipping at the heels of the gripper, that we would circle around and take a look at the patents, because there were some folks that thought, hey, wait a second, these new cats are infringing on patents. No, they're not. So let's take a look. Why I say that. So starting at the beginning, you can see I placed an order in December for the Microjig GRR-RIPPER 3D at $64. And I also purchased the Milecraft Grabber Pro. And I also purchased the Delmar Tools patented push block. Now look at the difference in price there. We go from $64 to $40 to $35. Now, I already gave you my opinion of these. I really like the gripper. I always have. The Milecraft, I think, represents a great value, and it's a bigger device. And I like the way that it functioned. And I thought the Delmar is an absolute dog, and that saddens me because it's made in my home state now of North Carolina. But the big question is, how does this thing work with patents? Well, let's start back at the gripper. First off, if you look at this, the inventor is Henry Wang from Winter Springs, Florida. I'm in Florida. I should check out where is Winter Springs. I don't even know. So the date that you see here on the patent is not the date that the patent protection actually begins. Patent protection begins when you apply for your patent. So you can see that Henry Wang, the inventor of the Microjig gripper, applied for that patent in 2002. So in this case, the patent is a 20-year patent, and so that expired in January of 2022. So no surprise, we now have some products that are competing with it, and you can have an exact copy of the original gripper. You can have that produced perfectly legally. You're not infringing on any patents at all. If we scroll down here, there's the illustration, and this patent is just loaded with illustrations. And Henry actually has several patents, in fact, many patents. Patented a splitter that's sold by Microjig. He's patented a taper jig and several variations of the Microjig. So there are some elements of the Microjig that are absolutely covered by patents. So you got to be careful if you're planning on knocking him off. All right, so what we're seeing here is the patent for the Grabber Pro. That's the Milecraft product. And the first thing that jumped out at me is you can see that it is a design patent. You can see that not only in the title here, but the patent number begins with the letter D. So that means design. And you can see that it has a different length of duration, in this case 15 years. Normal utility patent is going to run for 20 years. Just like the other one, though, it actually, the protection began when it was filed, so in 2019. So this is strictly on the looks of that product, the angled handle and so on. So, we had some question about, well, the way that everything is attached and how things slide on that aluminum bar, that's quite a bit different than the gripper. But those things aren't even called out in this because, again, it has to do with the looks of this device. I suppose if the folks from Microjig wanted to say that this infringed on the way their product functioned, they could certainly point to the fact that no, it is designed completely different. Now, speaking of design completely different, let's take a look at the patent for the Delmar. And here you can see that it actually took me a little bit of searching to find this because nowhere on here does it say Delmar. But when I did some research on who owns it, and that is this ETN Capital of Sanford, North Carolina. And there you can see that push block. Now let's go back up to the top here. It is not a design patent. It is a utility patent, so they have 20 years of protection. But as I said, I didn't like it anyway, so I can't imagine anybody's going to knock this off. But as a utility patent, it goes into a lot of detail. It talks about how the little knob attaches and how the threaded rod is going to move that center pushing member. It talks about how this disc offers support and so on. So I want to show you something interesting. When you apply for a patent, there's all kinds of things that you have to disclose. And some of the things that you pay a patent attorney for is they go and they take a look in the patent office at what's known as prior art. So what other products came out ahead of your design that may be influenced, maybe you didn't even know about them, but are similar enough that you need to reference them as having preceded your product. And so if I click over here, you can see if I go way up to the top here, this is the patent for the gripper. And you can find this at uspto.gov or by searching patents.google.com. I don't know why it's not Google Patents, but it's patents.google.com takes you to Google Patents. And here I have found Mr. Wong's first patent for the gripper, and you can see the background of the invention. I love reading these things. You know, why, what inspired this inventor to come up with this idea in the first place? A summary of the invention. None of that is protected. If we go way down in the patent, what you're looking for is the word claimed. What is claimed? And only what is claimed is what's actually protected by the patent. And scrolling way down here, I hope I didn't already miss it. Come on, where is it? Yeah, I did, because it circled back. It looped back on the right. Here we go. Yeah, there it is. Claims, right there. I claim my invention, and it goes detail by detail by detail of what is actually being covered in the patent. All right, but if we scroll on down beyond that, there's several things that are interesting. They're part of the application, and that Google Patents does very, very well is you can see that these are the patents that were cited by Microjig when they applied for their patent, saying, you know, this is some prior art. These are some products that have already been patented that maybe we took some inspiration from, or at least we need to acknowledge. And you can see this one right here goes back to 1911, 1904, and you can click on these and you can take a look at these patents. As I research patents, this is the kind of stuff I do. I love digging in to see, okay, where did this idea come from? How were they inspired? And by the way, look at that. Shopsmith Inc. Push stick for table saw, Shopsmith Inc. Push block, Shopsmith. Adjustable straddle block. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting to see Shopsmith there. Then the next thing that you'll see is other people bringing their products to market and within their application mentioning this patent. And there's Numis LLC, push block and push block. And you can link to see those products. Look, you got Bench Dog here, Bosch, Rockler, Microjig, and so on. So you can really get in deep and in the weeds, take a look at what's going on in the world of patents. And I think it's so much fun to see what folks are thinking about and working on. Additionally, Google is also sharing some other products that are close enough because maybe they have a similar classification, maybe they're by the same inventor, and you can also look at those. Now, when you look up these patents, you don't always find this information, But Google's getting really, really good at sharing documents like this. So, hey, to summarize, the Gripper is fantastic product. We all know that. It's the granddaddy. And they continue to innovate this product, continue to come out with new features that make the product even better. So I have no qualms whatsoever in recommending that. However, this Milecraft Grabber Pro is super impressive. It's very large. So if you think that that's going to be awkward for you, then, hey, stick with the Shopsmith push blocks. But, they even have some really interesting push blocks. I will link to those in the video description. You might want to check those out that are simpler than this. They don't have all the adjustable, portions. It's just a push block, but push blocks that have a lip on the end to help push the stock through. By the way, absolutely inspired by products from Gripper, but taking their own twist on them that allowed them to patent them as well. And again, Delmar, I can't recommend this. I in fact wanted to return this. That Tom from Woodshop Nerdery had a great idea. Yeah, I can't disclose it because it might still happen, but I, I I didn't return this because of this idea that Tom shared, and the window of opportunity to return it has closed. So I hope that happens. Tom, if you're watching, please make that happen. So hey, that's it. See you midweek for something interesting. Make it a great week.